Speaking of amazing sessions, up next we've got Braxton Bitsoy. Apologies if I didn't get your last name right. Mark Campus or Compass, and then Misty Jordan. Again, apologies if any of those names were incorrect. We have so many amazing presenters that have decided to be part of this, which is awesome. I am going to unspotlight myself and let you guys take the floor. So go ahead and start this session, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Thanks for having us. We're really excited. And yes, you got my last name right. It's exactly how you'd think. So
yes,
thank you. So like he said, my name is Braxton Bitsoy. I'm the Patient Technology Coordinator for Primary Children's Hospital. I'm joined here with a couple other amazing patient techs in other hospitals. And Mark, why don't you start? Give us a little information about you.
Yeah, sure. So I am from Cohen's Children's Medical Center over in New York. I am a patient tech like my other colleagues here. I am also a child life specialist. So I'm lucky enough to really be able to do, some direct patient work and interventions along those lines. So if you guys have any questions, for that, be happy to answer what I can. A lot of what I'm responsible for is the CCTV, or the hospital TV channel. Definitely spent probably half of my time working on that. So definitely a lot of time spent towards that. But we are getting a little more established, so starting to do a little more patient-facing stuff. I do have a background in electrical engineering and computer science before my child life days, so like really doing some stuff and figuring out some therapeutic exercises using those technologies are definitely something I'm starting to explore. And yeah, and that's it for me so far. Yeah.
Awesome. Misty.
Hi, everyone. My name is Misty Jordan. I am the Gaming and Technology Specialist at Integris Children's at Baptist Medical Center here in Oklahoma City. And I actually have had the privilege of working at 2 different hospitals here in Oklahoma City and helping them establish these patient technology programs. And I come from no clinical background. My degree is in journalism and broadcast journalism, actually. And so this job was kind of a dream job for me to not only use my broadcast background, but my skills with gaming and my passion for gaming and my passion for serving children, to bring this as a therapeutic aid along the child life departments in these 2 different hospitals. So, yeah.
Yeah, and my background is really similar to theirs. My degree was in computer science, audio digital media, so sound and signal processing and things. So a lot of my passion is in the CCTV realm, but also definitely have had a fun time building our gaming system just set up there at Primary Children's as well. And just to let everybody know what this discussion is about, it's really a conversation. We're just here as people that are on the ground that have been working on building these types of programs, if that's CCTV, if that's our gaming programs, virtual reality, working with our different facets of, expressive therapies, child life, and interacting with them, and how we develop these programs in general. So the main thing that we wanted to provide you with this session is just a discussion. We just want to be here to answer any questions that you've maybe had come up since the start of the symposium. I know that we're still pretty short into it, but I already have a list of probably 20 questions that I want to ask everyone. So, or if you had questions before that, if you're looking at different things that you're trying to grow in your hospitals, different areas, these 2 people that are joining me are fantastic at helping out with that and have had a lot of experience in that. So if you have any questions or anything, you can definitely use the chat. But once again, we really, really encourage that interactiveness. So if you have a question, you can also raise your hand. We'd love to be able to see you and hear you ask the question. And then we won't be so scared to answer it because we don't know what mood you're in. So, yeah. But let's see. It looks like we already do have a couple questions. One from Aaron. Besides gaming, what are some of the shows or activities you offer through CCTV? So I'll start this one because I love it. With CCTV, my hospital, we've grown that extensively. I think that was a huge push for me. The way that I started was 5 years ago. I had a nephew in the hospital, and I got to experience a little bit about the technology and stuff that was in the hospital. And one thing that was just surprising to me is that they had this wonderful CCTV channel in every single room, but it was 99% of the time just a black screen with no content on it. So a big push that we had is, how do we make it so that when we're not live, there's still things going on that the patients can see, and what type of things do we want to provide for them? Huge things that we did for shows. We do things such as bingo. That's a huge one for, I know, a lot of our hospitals. That's been the oldest one, predates me since I've been there. I think it's been going for 8 years now. Are You Smarter Than is a really fun show as well. Something that you'll notice with the shows that I'm mentioning, we try our best. A lot of the presentations that we've seen so far talks about the difference between in active media compared to a passive media. And TV is usually thought of as a passive media. And so what our viewpoints and our goals that we're trying to strive for is creating content that can be active. So that's why we love bingo so much, is because the kids get to play along and the host gets to interact with them. Same with our Are You Smarter Than? We bring in a either somebody that works in the hospital or someone that's outside of the hospital. We've had race car drivers, we had Miss Utah from Utah, and different people to come in. We ask them 15 questions. We give the patients the same 15 questions that they get to answer and play along with. And then if they beat or tie our guests, then we bring them a prize. So this doesn't only help with like education, but it also keeps them interactive. And it also makes it so that they can learn more about these people that are in the clinical field, that are working with them, or people that are, music therapists. And we get to talk about what music therapy is and why it's important to be provided. So it's really wonderful for these other departments, because it gives them this platform that they can communicate their services to as well. So other than that, we do a sing-along. We do a Name That Tune for Disney songs, which is really fun. We do one that's called Songs and Stories, where we work with our school teachers that pick out stories related to the month that it is. So this month it was Hispanic Heritage Month. And then we had a music therapist play songs that are influenced with Hispanic heritage. So that's another one that we do. And there's tons more. What's nice is that Child Life, it has been creating a lot of different content, new content, and have really utilized our CCTV productions in that way. So, Mark, what do you have to say?
Just to reiterate, it's what games do we do on the CCTV?
What shows? What are some of the shows or activities you offer through CCTV besides gaming?
Okay, got it. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, bingo is always the big hit. I think that was here before I even started, and still our best one. But some of our other good ones are we do Pictionary, and that's also an interactive thing. It's really fun too, because like before we'll have a message up that says like, "Hey, text us." Because we have a texting app, and that's how our patients will communicate with us, and we'll have an iPad to answer that on. And, before the show, we'll have a message up like, hey, if you have any ideas for us to, have people guess, like, let us know, The name of that is Text Now, and it is a free app. You just need to provide an email, and then they'll give you a number. Yeah, it's super useful, and it's free, so that's always good, right? But yeah, other games that we do, we have this game called Wheel of Music, and it includes a couple of the games that actually Braxton named, like Name That Tune. One is like a live jukebox kids can text, we want Let It Go. And, our music therapist will just play the song. And let's see, there are a few. What else is on there? Like finish a lyric, basically like name, like they'll sing a song and leave out a word and they can just fill it in. And it's that's probably our second best show. Kids love the, interaction, and just, the music therapist is just high energy. There are some people that are just meant to be on TV, and we're lucky enough to have someone like that. Let's see, another good show that we just started piloting is a pretty cool show called Sensational Stories. We have a child life specialist that is also a drama therapist, and she creates a story in real time with the kids. She'll just give some prompts like who's the main character, and she'll have maybe some toys that to choose from, or kids can just make up something. They'll come up with a problem, what happens, how does it get solved, and then basically after all the prompts, she'll recreate a story using she has like a Lego stage built. So, again, very low budget, it's something that we have around. We pull some stuff from the playroom and just make some stories. And it's really cool to give the kids, a lot of different choices, and then seeing, their things in action too. So, but in addition to live shows, something we'll also do is we'll have a pre-recorded craft, and we'll have craft kits that get handed out to patients that are either age appropriate and want to participate. And we'll play it at a certain time. Everyone has these kits. And then we can also have them take a picture and then send it in, and we can kind of show it off. And kids love having their names shouted out and their stuff shown off. Any opportunity you guys have to do that, even just saying some kid's name can make their day. So what I love about the CCTV platform is it's really easy to connect, and kids are just wow, I'm really on TV. They just said my name, and that can really turn things around. So, I just love being creative with it. But yeah, those are just a few of the things that we do.
Yeah. So at my past hospital, we had a bunch of CCTV programming, especially when the pandemic hit. We've really ramped up our virtual programming. And so we had bingo once or twice a day. That was our most popular. Patients and families loved it. It was a way for them to get that interaction that the world was lacking at that time. And we also had a setup where people could text a studio phone. And then our child life team put on these shows, and I was just there to help them produce it behind the scenes. And so it's always nice to have kind of a goal with the show that you have. And so whether that be, education or coping, or, even just normalization and distraction, or helping the time go by, almost anything can be seen as therapeutic in a way, if it is done correctly. And so a lot of our shows we had one that was sort of similar to Pictionary. It was The Masked Artist. And then we had some where we would play Jeopardy or Kahoot. And there are just so many online resources that you can utilize that help you have these fun interactions with patients. And something that was really cool was I got to work with our specialists. We had a school programs coordinator, and so she would do a weekly education show with experiments and stuff like that. And we would have patients even come onto the show and do them with us. And that was really fun. We had facility dogs, and so our dogs had a show every single week, and that was so fun. Our music therapist had a show every week. And sometimes we would even leave the studio and walk around the hospital and do our show and talk to different coworkers like PT or nurses. And that was really fun. At my current hospital, we do not have a CCTV system, but we utilize virtual programming through Microsoft Teams. And so we go around, and once a week we do themed bingo. And so just this week we did Toy Story bingo. It was so fun. We had so many patients who quoted Toy Story whenever I was passing out invites. And it's just fun to kind of find a theme and find a patient who is really passionate about that theme, which we had actually a mother with us this week who was really passionate about Toy Story. And so she was able to even participate. And it gives that interaction, like I said, that currently right now, the world is kind of in isolation mode. And so bringing that interaction to people where it might not be as interactive in the hospital, and especially a place where you're so stressed and days can be very hectic, bringing a space to just distract yourself from that and help time go by is really awesome. And then another organization that we're going to be working with is Project Sunshine. They have some virtual playrooms, and they are such an amazing program. I would highly recommend reaching out to them. They are going to be doing shows, I think, once a week for us, and they have different activities for different age groups, and so they're developmentally appropriate. And they have what they call special volunteers or special skilled volunteers. And so they have like a yoga meditation specialist, an artist, stuff like that. And so it's just really cool. There are so many organizations out there that want to help, and Musicians on Call is another one that's great. They do actually daily programming with these partnered musicians, and kids can call into your studio and request songs, and it's such a neat way for all of the hospitals to interact with each other. Yeah, shout out to Musicians on Call. They're great. But yes, so CCTV is something that is so rewarding, especially in the times that we're in right now.
Awesome. Mark, you had a question asked to you. Do you integrate gaming on your CCTV channel?
So not yet. Definitely looking into how to get, some just like streaming going, and, maybe do some like parallel play. That way, have either me or a kid playing, and, kids can text in and say, hey, do this or do that. And, yeah, it's in the works, but definitely looking forward to implementing that. I believe some colleagues already do that, I think.
So I'm in the works of doing a really big one that I'm excited about. So my hospital, we decided to put consoles in every room. So we have Xbox Ones in all the rooms, and we're at the point of the project where we will be able to make it so that I can join in the CCTV and play, on a Minecraft realm and say, hey, here's the link. Anybody that wants to play can jump in. And that's something that we're really excited about to try to use. We're hoping that it'll help with a big goal of ours is just autonomous connection with other patients. So patient-to-patient interaction without us having to support it or provide that. So we're hoping that if we do these types of things, even if it's for 30 minutes, so then we're like, all right, guys, keep on having fun. See ya. They are bonding with each other. They're working together on these different games, and they get to know what their gamer tags are. And so they get to continually play with each other in the hospital. So we're excited to see that. It's hopefully in the next couple months, we'll be launching it too. So, let's see what other questions we've got. What are good companies or grants that donate VR game systems, et cetera, to pediatrics hospitals? A huge one is the one that's sponsoring this event right here, Child's Play. Child's Play has definitely done huge services to a lot of our hospitals within keeping us up to date with new technology in gaming. But also just helping us maintain it. And some of our positions also are grant funded from Child's Play as well. So other ones, I know that for us, we had Game Changer charity help us out with donating Xboxes for our different rooms, as well as controllers. So yeah, do you know any others, Mark and Misty?
Yes. One that's really big for us is Starlight.
Yeah.
We have the Starlight Experience VR headsets, and those are great because they're built specifically for children's hospitals. My favorite thing about them is they come with a little sheet that tells you the difficulty level of the game, maybe the developmental age, like target age of the game, and the distraction level, if it can be played sitting up or laying down. But they have about, I think, 18 different games and experiences on there, and there's something truly for everyone. And that's probably one of my favorite devices that I've gotten to use. And then they also have these like gaming carts. And so we have some Starlight Wii systems and a Starlight Switch. And they're very good at interacting and helping you maintain all of that. I would just highly recommend them.
Yeah, I mean, those are really the main ones. I mean, Child's Play has definitely provided us with so much help with not only just, technology, but also this network that we keep up with that they've helped, introduce me to. And I couldn't really imagine not having them, not working with them. Let's see, Encourage Kids is another one that hasn't gotten named yet. They provided us with some technology too, but yeah, Starlight also such an awesome thing too. Their gaming carts have, definitely helped us out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Another one that I don't know that we've mentioned here yet is Gamers Outreach. They also have some gaming carts. There's Fully Loaded Electronics. I'm trying to think. The Able Gamers Foundation. There are so many different organizations out there that want to help children's hospitals. And like Mark was saying, this networking that Child's Play has like given us, in this community that they've given us, is such a help in networking with each other and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And just connecting us with all these organizations too.
Yeah. Aaron asked, how many live CCTV shows per day are each of you hosting? So that's kind of a trick question because I don't host all of them. I don't want to take all the credit for our CCTV productions. We have some amazing other people that are running different shows, but I believe that the total that we have that are live is in between 10 to 14 typically is what we're looking at weekly. So, and then other than that, just background stuff. And then a follow-up question from her is, what is your participation rate for your shows? So that's kind of a hard metric to find. A lot of CCTV programs that we have, data collection is still kind of at its infancy for. It's hard to find out how many people are viewing and how many people are, interacting. We can definitely tell by how many are giving us a call in or doing different, interactions in that way. And for us, it definitely varies on the show. Bingo and Are You Smarter Than are definitely our most successful, and we typically get anywhere from 7 to 20 calls about those each time. And then songs such as the Sing Along, we typically get 2 to 3 each time that we're hosting. And then lastly, how many pediatric beds do each of you have? So mine, I don't know the exact number, unfortunately. But I know that we have 230 rooms with Xbox Ones, and that's not including, I bet you we're right around like 265. So Misty, go for it.
Yes. So at my current hospital, we have bingo once a week, and with Project Sunshine, we'll have another weekly show. So we are doing 2 shows a week, and the participation really varies on kind of what our population looks like that day. So I actually work on a pediatric unit within a like full service hospital. And so we have, I want to say 36 beds. I could be wrong. So we can get anywhere from like 2 to 5, but I'd say around there is pretty average. But to me, something that always stood out is quality over quantity. And so if I'm able to change the day for even just one person, that means the world to me. And that interaction I know is going to be with them forever. And then at my last hospital, we did bingo once a day, and then our specialists would have shows. And so I'd say probably monthly, it was around, at one point, there were like 40 shows a month. So it can really vary. And I think it depends truly on your population, your bed count, stuff like that. But we just do ours through teams. And so there's not really any way to keep track of, I guess, how many messages you're getting because it is face to face. And so I've seen true value in that and being able to have a conversation with these patients and their families as well.
How many beds did you say you had, Misty?
I want to say it's 36. So we
36.
have a 26 bed pediatric unit and then a 10 bed PICU.
Awesome. Sorry. Thanks. Mark?
Yeah. So when I first started, we actually only had one show a week. It was bingo. Now it's only a few years later, and now we have 6 to 7 live shows during the week, which is really great. And we still run this out of basically a closet. So anyone that's just doesn't have a dedicated studio space, I just want to encourage you that you don't need much to really build this. All you need is maybe a few hands and just some ideas, and you can just let it fly. And that's what we've been doing, and we've had some pretty good success. As far as like participation, we've been pretty lucky that the TV company that we work with is able to provide who is watching from what room and the duration that they watch. And talking with everyone else, this seems to be the exception rather than the rule. But do want to say, like, it just might be an ask away, because that was all it was for me, is like, hey, what's the possibility of you having this data? And they were just like, yeah, we'll send it to you every week. And I'm just like, it was a surprise. And they give me the stats. And what's really cool and encouraging too is, because I know during shows we might get discouraged, like, I only have 4 kids playing, or just 1 kid playing, but what I've been finding through the stats is there's a lot more kids watching than actually participating. So even if you guys have like only a few people watching, there might be a lot more watching that are actually participating. So for example, like maybe we had 12 kids playing bingo, but in these stats that I get, it'll show that there were like 40 plus kids with the channel on at the time of bingo. So just stick with it as hosts. I know sometimes it can be hard. I host. I basically cover if someone can't host a show. So I'm kind of like the utility guy. I fill in wherever I need to. I don't have a dedicated show to myself, although our bingo person might be leaving, so I might be the bingo person for a little bit until we find someone new. But yeah, we have a 200 bed, 200 plus bed hospital. So, we do have a pretty good participation, but even with that many beds, sometimes we only get like 1 or 2 kids watching the shows. But like I was saying before, even just shouting them out, showing their art stuff, those 1 or 2 kids, like they just can be taken to a whole new experience in the hospital.
Awesome. We have another 2 questions that I'm just going to combine because they work really well together. Jordan asked, what suggestions do you have for increasing the production value of your CCTV broadcasting without any broadcast tech experience? And then somebody else asked, do Misty and Braxton use other means of contacting? And I believe that they're in reference to texting, the program that Mark just really brought up. And I think the reason why I put those together is because I think that that's a really important one, is making it as easy as possible and as available as possible for patients to interact with you. Currently, we still use in the majority of our shows just the phones. Just call in and we can be able to handle it in that way. And we have somebody answering the phones. That's the best way to start. If you don't have anything that you are trying to set up currently, we are working on an online platform that would be able to have a chat functionality, just like the one that you guys are on right now, that patients can be able to utilize to ask us questions and things. And we're hoping that that's going to really expand our program. So we're really excited about that. And then the only other thing that I would suggest is having content on there that's not for live shows. That was a huge bonus for us. Having things in the background that are such things as simple as the cafeteria menus for the day, and ways to contact music therapy, ways to contact the school people or Child Life, and just that type of information. I think that the biggest concern that I had when my nephew went to the hospital is that I asked my sister, hey, what type of things did the hospital have? And she said, oh, I have no idea. I didn't see anything about music therapy. I didn't see anything about this. And so utilizing it as a way to be able to give information out for patients and families, I think is extremely important. And that's a huge focus for us as we've been developing it, is making it so that we have a background platform that can run while we're not live. Then once we go live, it just punches right into our live session. So Misty, did you have something?
Yeah. So like Braxton mentioned, we at my last hospital just had a phone number and patients and families could call or text. And that we found texting was very popular. It's very natural to people. It's a natural way to have a conversation. And then at my current hospital, we are utilizing Teams. And so we basically give families and patients the choice of showing their video or using their microphone or utilizing the chat. So that's how we interact with them. Something that I think is really nice if you're going to be doing multiple shows a day, and you're noticing maybe like your later show doesn't have as high participation, following up with the people that tuned into your show that morning can be something that is huge. Like maybe mentioning that you have a show later that day, or like the schedule, or even having it up on a rotating screen, almost like PowerPoint, like Braxton had mentioned, just so that people can know what is going on that day, because families and patients get so much information while they're in the hospital and so many knocks on the door a day that they might forget about that show later, but it might be something that at the time they were really interested in. So following up with those families and being like, hey, just a reminder that we do have this later if you still want to engage with that, can really help bring that participation back up. And then also just finding those champion patients and families and even seeing if they're interested in having a show with you. Most hospitals, I believe, with these programs have some sort of like consent form that you can sign. And then that's also something that you can record for that patient to take home with them as sort of a legacy building project that they got to do in the hospital. So yeah, I think, and like Mark said, like you can be in a closet and have these shows going. We use Microsoft Teams. We don't have a CCTV setup, but we're still able to utilize that virtual programming. And I think finding those ways around that is really important right now. And starting out, that's a good way to build those statistics, and then maybe one day present like, hey, we do want a CCTV system, and here is the participation we're getting, here's the benefit that these shows have been getting. I think a lot of hospitals are moving in that direction, and this community has been such a huge help. I think our Slack channel has been mentioned. There are 2 different channels in there regarding even just studio tech and studio like programming. So those are also great resources to check out.
Awesome. And Mark, since you didn't answer that last question, I'm going to give you the Abe question, because Abe always has the most sophisticated, hardest questions to answer. So I'll throw that one your way. As individuals who come from a different non-medical, you are a child life specialist though, correct?
I am.
Okay. So maybe this isn't a good question for you, but come from a non-medical background, have you encountered any personnel or infrastructural obstacles to integrating into your specific hospital with such a niche position?
Yeah, I guess like, sometimes just like when I get like some hiccups, right? And IT will come in and they're like, wait, what do you do here? And oh wait, what's this here? And just finding that some technology that we have they don't even know about, right? So then just like collaborating with these, with IT and engineering, and just letting them know like, hey, these are the things that we do, and we're not sure how to do them. Sometimes coming into this hospital, I didn't really have any kind of corporate background, so I never really realized all the red tape that you kind of need to go through with things. And just keeping an open line with IT and the engineering guys. What's really helped me is kind of having like my champions within the department that like kind of are excited about our role, really helped me move things forward when it comes to like, hey, I want to get this gaming thing on our CCTV. How do we do this? And like, what kind of things can't we do? But yeah, I mean, there's always, I feel like in our position, there's always new obstacles because there's always new technologies that we get excited about. And there are so many things like infection control and just security and just logistically, like, how do we put this thing on this wall? But yeah, I have to say that I always run into obstacles, but having those champions within those departments really helped me navigate through those things.
Awesome. Meg asked a question that has mostly been answered, it looks like, on the chat, but I still think that it would be great to address this. So are there any organizations that donate for CCTV to make it more available for hospitals? So I see that they mentioned a lot of different ones, such as Ryan Seacrest, the Seacrest Studio. That's a great one. I'm not entirely sure how much they interact with it when you don't have a broadcast setup already. I know that they do work with you regardless. And I think that a big part of that, because you say that you don't have that currently available, it's the selling of it to your hospital. That's going to be the hardest thing. I think that there's definitely a lot of organizations that are willing to help you with it, but it's definitely important to really look at, why would administration want this? What is their value in it? And talking with them about how you're bringing in an area for them to be more familiar with the hospital, or more familiar with different things that are going around in the hospital, increasing patient engagement, and also making it so that one child life specialist can have an interaction with 200 rooms compared to a one-to-one situation. So there's a lot of value in that, in the way that you express it to your administration and things is very important. If you're in administration, great. But just wanted to say that's always the big part for me, at least, of once I find a donor, I'm like, okay, great, now I got to sell it. So just keep that in mind. But those, I did look through a lot of those other ones that were posted, and those all seem like great ones as well. And then we also have you seen or heard of co-treatments with CCTV being used by OTPT, SLP, etc., as distraction or engagement during sessions? That's kind of, for me, that's I haven't used it for clinical people, but we do have things such as our Rise and Relax sessions, where our movement therapists decided to do different stretches and different techniques that could be done sitting down, laying down, standing up, so that everybody, not only the patient but the family as well, can have these different ways to stretch and move while they're in the hospital and have those actions. So that's the route that I've gone, is really working with a lot of these people, the expressive therapies and all these other individuals that are technically non-clinical, I guess. I'm not sure if that's even appropriate. But that area, and having them work on building their sessions in that way. But have you, Mark or Misty, used any of those?
I don't think so. I've never used them necessarily clinically, but I think there is, like you or Mark had mentioned, that selling aspect where whenever you're presenting it to whoever, you might be presenting to PT and OT to try and get them to have a show or something. You could push for these certain patients with certain goals to tune in, and working alongside child life specialists has been really helpful in finding those clinical goals that can also be met through something like CCTV. And I know in the past, we have had child life specialists even go and sit with a patient while they're viewing CCTV. And that in itself is like co-watching. And so they're then there to have that intervention of maybe turning it into something clinical. But as far as having the actual show itself be a clinical intervention, not necessarily.
Oh, Mark, did you have something as well?
Just to add to the selling point, something that worked well for me is commenting on what other hospitals have and the things that they're doing, and just saying like, hey, something that I saw my friend Braxton doing at his hospitals. He's getting all these great things, and we don't have that. And I was looking at it, and and I've been getting pretty good responses from that, and yeah.
That's awesome, guys. So good to hear about what's happening on gaming and CCTV stuff across the country, because I'll be talking a little bit about that tomorrow as well. And Lindsay Kramer will be talking about some virtual playrooms and stuff too. So there's some cool, we're spreading it out a little bit, which is awesome. So keep up the amazing work. And is there any sort of last minute stuff you want to throw out there for our colleagues across the country and the world?
One really quick thing. I know that there were a lot of questions that we missed. If you do have questions, I know that I believe Misty and Mark will also be inside the town having a good time. I'll be at the poker table winning more money from Andrew. But yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, you can find me at GatherTown as well. And then also, I just wanted to add in to check out that Slack channel that I had mentioned. There's a lot of resources. Most of us are in it, so you can always reach out there.
Yeah,
that's awesome, guys. Oh, yeah, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, just one quick little thing to add too. I know CCTV can be like this whole big thing that you wish that you had. When I first started here, we ran it off one laptop, had ProPresenter, and we had like one line that was hooked up. We had the infrastructure laid out, but that's all we needed. So I mean, give it a shot. You don't need much. But yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's an excellent point. Use what you got, what you can do, and then build from there. So awesome job.